What's up, traders? So Warren Buffett has officially got involved with United Healthcare and has purchased over $1 billion in shares. And because of that, the stock shot up on Friday. And looking at the data, I believe there is a perfect trade scenario setting up right here, right now. And then we'll look at a potential trade within the Mumu platform. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Rashad. I am a full-time options trader, and I have been blessed to be able to print more money from the stock market than I could ever imagine possible. And I use the money that I print with stock options in order to pay for my entire lifestyle. Now, if you could do me a huge favor and go ahead and punch that like button, that just helps push the video out to more people, and go ahead and subscribe. And do remember that this is not financial advice, nor is it a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any equities or options contracts. Now, this would not be my channel if I did not start it off with a word from God that has to talk about money, wealth, or business. And today's scripture will come from Ecclesiastes 11:6, and it says, "Sow your seed in the morning, and at evening let your hands not be idle, for you do not know which will succeed, whether this or that, or whether both will do equally well." And this is quite literally telling you to diversify your income, diversify your investments, and do not put all your eggs in one basket, because for you do not know which will succeed. All right, so don't just put your entire account into NVDA. Buy a little bit of Apple, buy a little bit of Google, buy a little bit of Meta, maybe a little bit of Netflix. All right, you certainly don't want to make one position too large of a position in your account. But that's the word for the day, and I hope that blesses somebody. And speaking of diversifying your income, we have several people within the Trader Freedom community who are absolutely doing just that and printing money every single week doing so. And so I have to shout out a few members of the community, and the first one will be Chris. He says, "What a month so far. Finally got out of my sound trade that went south in February. Been printing money through selling covered calls ever since, along with Rashad's amazing trade selections. This is turning into one of my best months in a long time. Fingers crossed I can hit that 5K figure by the end of August. Thanks again, Rashad. So happy I joined." Shout out to Chris, printing almost $4,000 in cash over the last month. And then we have Steven here. He says $3,200 made this week, had several expirations, so next week we'll have more liquidity. And then he talked about a trade scenario that he's in currently, and I gave him a few suggestions. But shout out to the $3,200 made this week. Good for you, Steven. Ramon says another amazing week, profit of $3,794.27, return of 5.5% in my Tasty Trade account. Consistency and strategy equals results. Let's keep the momentum going. Good stuff to you, big money Ramon. And then Hector says ended this week with a small win, $5,500 made this week. All right, so Hector is so used to printing so much money within the community that he says that a $5,500 win is a small win. But man, that is amazing. That is a true blessing. So shout out to you, Hector, for continuing to print money in this market. But if you know anybody who would like to print money in this market, tell them about the Trader Freedom community. The link is below in the description. Not only will they get to see my exact trades as soon as I enter them, which we have trades all the way from 0 DTE for our day traders, all the way to monthly income strategies for our people who are a little bit more busy. So you'll get to see all of my trades. Then secondly, you'll get access to my entire framework via the Trader Freedom course. Thirdly, you'll get to ask me questions at any given time. And lastly, you'll be within a community of other traders who all have the exact same goal as you. And so if you do know anybody, go ahead, send them the link below in the description. But with that, let's get down to business. So when it comes to United Healthcare, I have a pretty interesting history with them, because I started trading United Healthcare in the community a few months ago, and we were in the trade for a few weeks, and I kept digging and digging for more information about the company, and I ran into some information about the higher ups within the company that I did not like. And because of that, we went ahead and exited our position for a decent little profit. However, at that time, I decided that I did not want to trade it any longer, because a company can only go as far as the people who are running the company take it. However, my opinion has slightly changed just recently when the news broke that Warren Buffett is buying several shares of the company. Now, if you're familiar with the channel, then you know that I love fundamentals. I love purchasing and trading companies at a price lower than what they are currently valued. And when it comes to fundamental investing, Warren Buffett is the king of that, and so I've always looked up to him. And so when he buys shares of a company, I always pay attention to it. However, this time it's a little different. And the reason for that is not only does Warren Buffett see UNH as a good value, but also there are not too many people or businesses that know about insurance companies more than Berkshire Hathaway. And the reason for that is Berkshire owns Geico, one of the largest insurance companies in the world. And they have fully owned Geico Geico since 1996. And so if there is anybody who knows how insurance companies work and how to build them up and make them better, it would be Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway. And so because of this, now my eyes are open again to the possibilities of UNH going up from here. And let's go ahead and take a look at this article. So this article comes from Bar Chart and it's titled Warren Buffett is betting big on United Health stock, should you? It says United Health shares soared as much as 14% on Friday after regulatory filing confirmed legendary investor Warren Buffett has built nearly a $1.6 billion stake in the healthcare giant. Buffett's conglomerate Berkshire Hathaway now owns about 5 million UNH shares in total. Other high-profile names that have capitalized on United Health's crash this year, including Big Short investor Michael Burry and David Tepper. Including today's surge, United Healthcare is up roughly 30% versus its year-to-date low set in early August. Compared to its share price of April 11th, however, it is still down nearly 50%. What Buffett's stake mean for United Healthcare stock? Buffett's $1.6 billion stake is massively constructive for UNH stock as it signals conviction in the insurer's long-term value despite its recent struggles. The Oracle of Omaha has reputation for disciplined, value-driven investing, which often boosts market confidence, attracts institutional interest, and stabilizes sentiment. Plus, sizable investments from other notable investors like Burry and Tepper reinforce the narrative that United Health shares are undervalued, potentially poised for recovery. Their collective endorsement is a huge vote of confidence in the company's fundamentals, business model, and resilience, driving revenue, investor optimism, and upward momentum in the stock. Should you invest in UNH shares at current levels? Buffett's investment may be reason to load up on United Health stock, also because it's available at a 50% discount, according to renowned professor at the University of Maryland, David Cass. Cass agrees that UNH will see major fines and the New York Stock Exchange listed behemoth will have to fire some executives, but said longer term, the company will survive and likely regain its prominence in the industry. He recommends owning UNH shares at current levels also because it offers robust finances, above average profitability, and a below average price to earnings ratio. A healthy 2.9% dividend yield makes up for another great reason to buy United Healthcare stock here. And so this is just what one article says, but let's go ahead and look at what analysts think. And real quick, I have to give a shout out to the sponsors of this video, Moomoo. Beyond just being an amazing platform, they have one of the best promotions I've ever seen going on right now. So if you open up an account right now and put money into it, you can get up to $1,000 in NVDA stock absolutely free just for opening up an account and placing money into it. And so this is definitely something to take advantage of. On top of that, they're offering 8.1% APY on your idle funds that are just sitting. So it makes all the sense literally just to open an account, place some money in it just for these perks alone. But on top of all of that, their mobile platform is next level. Taking a look at their mobile app, so you can see here, you can see a lot of general information such as earnings and earnings calendars and earnings beats and economic calendars. However, what I like most is this investment theme. So if we click on investment themes, here they categorize stocks based on what they're impacted by. And so what I like most is this one that's called Nancy Pelosi Portfolio. Now, if you're not familiar, Nancy Pelosi is a US Congresswoman, and she seems to always select the right stocks right at the right time. And so Mumu conveniently put all the stocks that she is currently investing in right here on this list for you to see. And so if you just wanted to follow what Nancy Pelosi is doing, you could follow this investment theme in Mumu. But go ahead, check it out. The link is below in the description. You can get up to 60 free stocks, and you can only get that with this link. So go ahead and click it, and you can thank me later. All right, so looking at UNH, we can see that it is currently $304, and I am recording this prior to the market opening. And so we can see Friday's movement, which was an upward movement of 11.98%. And we can see that out of the 23 analysts covering this stock, they have it currently as a buy, with 73% of the analysts saying that it is a buy currently, 17% saying hold, and 8% saying sell. Now, if we come over here and we look at price targets, we can see that the average analyst has the price target at $312, with some analysts having it as a high of $440, and then I'm assuming one analyst having it at $198. Now, as we can see, if we look up here, these price targets were last updated on August 16th. So this was prior to confirmation that Buffett was buying into the company. And so often what you'll see happen is as a stock price moves up, analysts also have to move up their price targets because that is just the nature of the game. And so as the stock starts moving upward even more, we will start to see these price targets move up as well. And so it will be interesting to see what they move their price targets up to. But we can see that some analysts already had the price target at $440, even prior to knowing that Warren Buffett was getting into the company. Now, I want to show you an amazing tool that they have in the Moomoo platform. Now, currently looking at UNH's chart, we're looking at the weekly candles, and we can obviously see that UNH has had a pretty bad time over the last several months. All right, so it peaked at $630 around November of 2024, and ever since then it has just been horrible. All right, so all the way from $630 to a low of $234 just last month in July. But what I want to show you is Moomoo's trend projection software. So if we come up here and you click this button, what Mumu does is uses AI to identify another stock that moves similar and how it moved going forward in order to potentially predict how this stock will move going forward. So let's go ahead and click the button. All right, so we can see that it has identified Axon as a very similar moving stock that moved with an 88% similarity to how UNH has moved here thus far. And we can see here that Axon moved up a little bit, moved down a little bit, and then kind of consolidated. And so the trend projection is saying that UNH will move up and then consolidate a little bit. All right, so that's just a pretty cool tool that you can use within the Moomoo platform. And of course, it's not an end-all be-all, but it's just another data point that we can use in order to back up what we already believe. And I believe that UNH's stock will move up some here moving forward, because if we look at one of the data points that I really love anytime that I buy options is the stochastic. So if we look at the stochastic down here, the stochastic is just an indicator that shows you in which direction momentum is taking a stock. And quite simply, if the stochastic is pointing upwards, then the stock has upward momentum. And if the stochastic is pointing downward, then the stock has downward momentum. And we can see that the stochastic for UNH just recently moved back in an upwards position. And that is the very first thing that I look at whenever I am thinking about buying leaps or poor man covered calls. And so because I think that this stock will have some positive momentum over the next several weeks, I'm going to go ahead and enter into a poor man's covered call position. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to come up here and go to the options chain. Now, of course, the poor man's covered call consists of two different legs. And so the first thing we need to do is we need to buy our long call. And then after that, we will select our short call. All right, and just a disclaimer that this is just an example. Please don't blindly follow me. If you are in the community, then you get to see my actual trades as soon as I enter them. However, on this video, this is just an example. But if the market was open right now and I were going to go ahead and enter into a trade, the first thing I would do is I would buy the long call. And now, for it to be considered a leap strategy, it has to be longer than 365 days out. Now, me personally, I like to go to the furthest expiration out. And so I would come down here and select this December 2027 date. Now, when it comes to buying strategies, the longer the expiration is, the higher the price will be, because it increases your probability of profit. All right, so when it comes to buying strategies, if it is more expensive, then there's a good chance that it has a higher probability of profit. And if it is less expensive, that means it probably has a lesser probability of profit. But let's go ahead and meet somewhere in the middle. Let's say you don't want to do this date that's in December of 2027 because you don't want to pay the prices. So maybe we go a little bit closer. So let's go ahead and select this January 2027 date that is 516 days out from now. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And now the next thing I need to do is select my strike price. Now, when it comes to my long strike, I want to select a delta of anywhere between 0.70 and 0.80. So let's come over here. I'll go ahead and select this 0.70 delta, which is at the $280 strike. And we can see that I will be paying anywhere between $6,700 to $6,900 right here, right now for buying this contract. And so since that looks good to me, I'll go ahead and hit the ask price, and that automatically loads the ticket up for me. And so now we've done half of our poor man's covered call. However, now that we have our long call, I need to go ahead and sell my short call. Now for this, I want to go somewhere within 45 days. All right, so for a poor man's covered call, it's probably one of the closest strategies to real estate. And in this case, the long call will be our property, and the short call are our tenants that are going to pay us a monthly premium. And the hope here is that UNH's stock price just slowly appreciates over time. And what that will do is allow our long call to appreciate slowly over time. And then every month we could come in and sell a short call against it and collect premium on that side as well. So let's go ahead and look for our short call, and I can kind of show you how this will work out. So I'll come back here. Let's go ahead and close this date. And now I want to scroll up because I need to select a date within 45 days. And so I'm going to select this date that is 40 days out from now, which is September 26th. And so let's go ahead and open that up. And from here, what I typically do is I'll select the delta anywhere between 0.30 to 0.40. Now, since UNH does look like it's going to have a good amount of momentum moving forward, I may want to go on the lower end of that delta. And so I'm probably going to come down here and select likely the 325 strike. And we can see that I would receive anywhere between $800 to $825 right here, right now for selling this contract. And so if that looks good to me, what I will do is I will go ahead and select this bid price. And once I do it, what you'll notice, if we look over here, see currently I am paying $6,827 for that long strike. But once I add this to the ticket, well, you can see it reduced it down by the amount that I received for selling this contract here. And so now instead of paying $6,800, now I'm going to pay $6,000 for the contract. And so now that we have that set up, let's go ahead and look at the P&L curve to see how much we could potentially make or lose from this trade. So I'll come up here and I'll select the curve button. All right, so looking at this P&L curve, we can see where these white dashes right here are where UNH's stock price is currently. Now, if we look at these numbers up here, we can see on the left, it shows what the price will be upon expiration of the short strike. And then on the right there, it will show the P&L of how much this trade would be worth today at this specific stock price. Okay, and so we know that this is a bullish strategy, right? We want the stock price to slowly go up over time. Now, you can see as I slowly drag it up based on the stock price, we can see that we will make more and more, and the amount that we will make will max out right around $2,100. And that is right at the price of our short strike, which is $325. And so best case scenario is that UNH's stock price comes all the way up to around $325 by expiration. And in that case, we make all that money that we made from the short call, which was $800, and the value of our long call has appreciated quite considerably. And if that were to happen, then we could go ahead and sell another short call at a higher price and a later date and collect that money again. And then hopefully our long call continues to appreciate as well. All right, but our profits are capped where the short strike is. Now, if the stock price continues to go above our short strike, then you can see we still have made money. However, we are making less than we would have had stopped at our short strike price. All right, but it would take UNH's stock price literally to double for it to become a losing situation. All right, and so we would break even at $645, but the chances of UNH doubling over the next 40 days is pretty slim. All right, so I think we are good to go on the bullish side. Now, typically, if the stock price does go up pretty quickly and comes towards our short strike, then I will go ahead and close it at whatever profit the trade is worth at that time. All right, no need to keep holding on to it. And when I close it, I go ahead and I close both legs. All right, I don't waste time rolling up the short strike. I just grab my profit and go, and I look at the data, and if it looks like it's still going to go up, then I will just enter into a new trade. Okay, but that is on the bullish side. Now, if the stock price were to go down, then obviously it will start to become a losing trade. All right, this no different than if you were to just buy shares of the company and the stock price went down, well, then you will lose money. However, the amount that you would lose is always capped to the price that you paid to enter into the trade to begin with. And so that $6,000 that we paid to get into the trade is the most we could lose. However, our contract is nearly 2 years out, and so we have time for the trade to turn around and become a profitable trade. And so it'll be very interesting to see what UNH does from here. If you are trading the stock, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to get your free NVDA shares by opening up an account with Mumu and depositing some money into it. And also, again, if you know anybody who would like to join the Trader Freedom community, we would absolutely love to have you. But that is it for this video. I will see you guys on the next one. Peace!